Hi, welcome to the Coaxum Report. This is Terry Coaxum, and you can find us on Roku, you can find us on Apple, you can also find us on Android. And so today I'm super excited. I have Amos Winbush III that's going to be speaking to us, giving us some nuggets and some tips on how to better our small business. Amos has a fabulous testimony that we're going to jump into. And so thank you so much for joining us today on the Coaxum Report. Hi, Amos. How are you?
Hi, Terry. How are you? I'm
I am
great.
super excited, super excited. So, Amos, I want you to, this is, of course, the Coaxum Report. I want you to introduce yourself to the audience and tell them a little bit about your business because you're a serial entrepreneur. So this isn't, just one business you have. You have some phenomenal things going on. So talk to the audience a little bit about who you are and let's jump right in.
Yeah, that's a loaded question. I think
Absolutely.
first and foremost, I'm a husband. I'm a father. But professionally, my entrepreneurial career started in 2007, where I launched a company called CyberSyncs, and we created synchronization. So everything that you guys take for granted,
Right.
I created in 2007. And sold that business in 2015 to one of my telco partners. And then later created two more companies in between that, which I call,
Right.
my labors of love. When I should have been sitting down, I was actually creating a business.
Yeah.
And then I started an entrepreneurial TV network with Forbes called Forbes 8, where
Yeah,
we
I
traveled the
remember that.
world.
That's right.
Yeah, we traveled the world creating TV shows, supporting entrepreneurs, and resourcing and equipping them with the knowledge and resources that they needed.
That's right.
Did some investment, sold that company in 2021 to Forbes, and decided that I was just going to get on this fitness journey. So
All
for
right.
about 6, 7 months, I just worked out every single day. And then created a fintech company called Backers, which is what we're doing right now. And it's all about connecting neighborhood residents with neighborhood business owners
That's
to
right.
raise capital for their businesses. Yeah.
Yep. And this is great because a lot of what we talk about on this show, we talk about some barriers and access. One of the top barriers for small business. And so when you told me about backers, I was like, listen, we have to get you on this show. We have to get you to talk about what that
Yeah.
is. But I want to go back a little bit because when I met you, it was CyberSyncs. So it was all about CyberSyncs. And I remember having this conversation with you, and so I just want you to kind of share that story with the listeners today, because having an opportunity to do what you did, to sync our computer and our phones together, I just we take it for granted right now. We just basically take that for granted. But one of the barriers for you, I remember talking to you about it, was being at the table, getting to the table, right? And a lot of our small businesses are there where you are. And so just that story can help guide them on, first of all, help give them hope and let them understand, listen, Amos did this, I can do this. More importantly, the technology business they don't usually look like us, right? And then thirdly, just giving some nuggets to the listeners about what they can do to kind of push through when they feel like they're, right there. So that would be great if you can share some of that. And then we would definitely go to backers.
Yeah, I think when I started CyberSyncs in 2007 in New York City, there was not only were there no persons of color that looked like me
Mhm.
creating a business, there was no startup community in New York City.
Mm.
Every tech company that you can possibly think of was operating here, but there were no new companies starting.
Right.
So when we were looking for software engineers, we were taking them from the banks and giving them equity, and they were taking chances on us.
Wow.
Um, the issue that I had very early on was finding community, like authentic
Mm.
and genuine community, not necessarily
Right.
even raising capital. Um, you know, it's finding people who will lead and support that journey across every turn. And once I found my tribe, I realized that the next step was creating the business, releasing it to the marketplace, and then capitalizing that, capital funding that business. I would say within the first year and a half, we had our first partnership with Sun Microsystems. So it wasn't very difficult for us in 2008, early 2009, until the market crashed.
Yeah.
And
And then
and
there's
the
that.
world, that's that. And then the world started being very, very stingy with releasing money to tech companies. But we stayed true, and we decided to go internationally and build partnerships with global telecoms around the world. And little did I know that that would take me really, really far in every business that I started from thereafter. So,
Wow.
if anything, I would say the most important thing for startups and their founders are finding the tribe that's going to be authentically theirs, and allow them to make those mistakes and be there to pick them up.
I think that that's excellent. That's something that we haven't heard before on the show. One, finding your tribe, right? Finding your network of individuals that can work with you to realize whatever this is, and I always call it the small business, that's your baby, that's your, especially for startups, right? But second, that you talked about that global, right? And it's really
Yeah.
interesting that you would talk about global, because this station is in the Caribbean and throughout. And so, like I said, Anthony, the U.S. Virgin Islands, you're listening to this WSTX Bloomberg, where you can watch us there. So this is an opportunity for us to break down that barrier, right? Because there are no barriers as far as technology is concerned now. Like, you can literally create your startup and you can work all over the world. And so that's a
Oh,
great
yeah.
opportunity, yeah, for you to share that with the audience, because we don't want them to get stuck in a bubble thinking that this is just it, especially now. One of the things that COVID did, and I always say, with obstacles, there are opportunities, right? Your obstacle, you turned it into an opportunity. I want the businesses that are listening, whether you're listening on Amazon Fire or Apple, Roku, or Bloomberg WSTX, I want you to understand that you can grow that across the world internationally. So having you talk about global is huge at this point. And so thank you for so much for sharing that. Now, let me ask you a question. So how did you find your tribe? Like, I teach business, right? And I tell my students, if they're involved in business, that they should be involved. If you're taking a business administration degree, then you should join, a group on business administration. If you are interested in networking, then you should go to a meetup. If you are looking to start something new, I know when I ran a marathon, I didn't even realize there was a whole world out there of runners.
Yeah.
So I got to, road runners became my friends, and then there were like
Yeah.
meetups every week. There were spaghetti parties. But if you have something that you're interested in, there are other things there are other people that are also interested in that. Didn't you create an app that you could find folk when you did the marathon, right? Talk about that, Amos. Talk about
Yeah.
that.
So I did do the marathon, but right after I sold my first company, I went through this midlife crisis, I guess you could say. I was barely even 30,
Right.
and decided that I just wanted to like run and
Mm-hmm.
be an avid runner. So I would
Right.
run 10, 12 miles a day. And when I
Right.
was in my beginning stages of running, I would notice several people, like, this guy had an amazing stride. And every other day, it would be like this college age girl who would sprint. She would start
Okay,
off and
pause. We got to take a quick commercial break, but
yep,
this is going to be a great story. I remember you telling me about this, and I was
yeah,
really motivated by it. So we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we're going to come right back. But hold that story. We're going to talk about this college age girl and her stride. Give us
yeah,
a
you got
second, and we'll be right back.
it.
Thank you so much, Amos.
This is the Bloomberg Real Estate Report. I'm Denise Pellegrini. Housing affordability continues to worsen. The share of your salary you have to use to buy a home, well, it's increasing at the fastest pace in a decade and a half. Rick Sharga, EVP of Market Intelligence at Adams, says home buyers are getting hit with a triple whammy.
There's rising home prices, which continue to soar. There's inflation, which is at the highest rate it's been in 40 years. And now those are coupled with interest rates that are over a point higher than they were a year ago.
And Sharga says it's all adding up.
The net effect for somebody looking to buy a house is buying the same house they would have bought a year ago cost them somewhere between 20 and 25% more when they're making that monthly payment.
But Sharga also says portions of Chicago, Houston, and San Antonio are still way more affordable, and most unaffordable in places like Los Angeles, Orange County, San Diego, Phoenix, and Brooklyn. And that's the Bloomberg Real Estate Report. I'm Denise Pell.
I'm Charles Meriday, and I'm in the restaurant business. In my 20 years as a chef and restaurant owner, I've been able to work and eat in some of the great kitchens around the globe. There's a whole side of the restaurant that most people will never get to see. So now, I want to take you to the back of the house, into kitchens of some of the best chefs in the world. Along the way, I'll share some of my own tips and recipes so you can cook like a pro too. So join me in the back of the house for a whole new perspective on cooking and food. Order in. Roger. Serve it, please.
I'm glad that you came. Please.
Hello, welcome back. This is pretty exciting. So, we've talked about a lot, So, for those that just joined us, you can find us on Amazon Fire. You can find us on Roku. You can find us on Apple. This is the Coaxum Report, powered by the Marketplace in Kawalu, and you can also find us on Tempo. And so I have Amos Winbush III here. He's a serial entrepreneur, and he's given us some great nuggets on one. He started talking about his startup, CyberSync, and some of the challenges he faced, but more importantly, some of the great nuggets he was able to impart upon us. Finding your tribe, finding your group, making sure whatever this is that you're investing in, you're finding that group to help you along the way, which is what he was able to do with his startup. He also talked about something different, global. He talked about his support globally and how that was able to help him with CyberSync, but then other business as he has come along to be a serial entrepreneur. And then he started talking about something that I was pretty excited about, an app that he created, decided to be a runner. And then he saw that there was this gentleman you said that was running, and then there's this woman who had a great stride. So talk to us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I think the reason why I chose those words is because it's really important, and it reflects back to the journey of entrepreneurship. It is
Right.
It is a stride. It is a journey. And what I needed in the moment of learning how to run was to be able to mimic someone else, because I didn't know the motions. The motions weren't familiar to me. So I needed to be familiar with the motions, and I wanted to be able to look at multiple people. And I equate that back to business. How you run your business in the beginning stage isn't always going to be what you think it should be. Oftentimes, you're going to emulate a lot of different people until you find your own voice, your own point of view. And that's why the tribe is so important. So yeah, I created a company called Woes. Woes, yeah. And it was all about finding your tribe in every activity that you wanted. So if it was tennis or biking or running, in your immediate area. This was before Facebook activities came out. So I was always right before, but I sold that company to a firm called Abacooley a year and a half after I created it. And what I learned in all of those businesses is that what I thought success would look like it never appeared that way. It never showed up that way. Never.
What do you mean by that?
I think, when we are entrepreneurs, we are often, I don't often meet pessimistic entrepreneurs. We are,
no, we're all optimistic.
We're all optimistic.
That's right.
And you think that you're going to have that hockey stick growth, and you don't necessarily think that you'll fall into like difficult times. I don't know how to do this now, but I'll figure it out. And oftentimes you don't have time to figure it out. What you need is someone to say, that's not your skill set. Hire someone to do that. And you focus on what you do. So yeah, for me, it was just that. I wanted to do everything. I wanted to be everything. I wanted to fit all of those criterias in running my business, but I couldn't.
That's really interesting that you would say that, Amos, because one of the things I had Senator Kevin Parker on, and he was talking about technical skills and making sure that as a business owner, you were able to do certain things, and then you were able to hire others to do things that you weren't able to do because you didn't have time. You would burn yourself out as the candlestick, as the cook, the candlestick make, everything, right? So you would be the head cook, the car wash, the candlestick maker, just everything you're doing in your business. And he said, just because you can make cookies don't mean you should be a baker. Just because you can make furniture don't mean you should have a furniture store. And so it seems like we've lost Amos. Hopefully we'll get him back. But one of the things that Amos was just talking about is just making sure if it's not your skill set as a small business owner, we don't have time to do every single thing. And so if that is the case, then don't be afraid to hire someone to do what you need them to do. Go ahead, Amos.
100%. I think entrepreneurs, we want to be supermen and superwomen. We are not. We are human. We have to sleep. we have necessities, and most important, we have a responsibility to the business and
That's
our
right.
consumers. And being able to say that's not my skill set isn't a
That's
bad
right.
thing.
That's
That's
right.
actually powerful.
Hmm.
And if we can rest in that power more often, then I think we can have more authentic businesses when we roll them out into the marketplace. One thing that I often tell entrepreneurs here in America is that when you create a company,
Hmm.
stop thinking just within the borders of this country.
Right.
Your tribe may not be here. Your
Right.
tribe may be in South America, it may be in China, it may be in Africa, it may be in Europe. Your job is to create a product that has the ability to transcend borders,
That's right.
languages, and reach the people who need it most.
And I think this is really like I'm super excited about this conversation, right? Because every time you say tribe, your face light up. That's number one, right?
Yeah,
Uh, but more importantly, just getting our entrepreneurs to think past the borders, just think past where you're operating at. And one thing that COVID did, and I'll continue to say this, is it created opportunities, right? Because more people had to get on to digital devices.
yeah,
Before COVID, I had businesses say, I don't need a website. I'm like, hold on, you need a website, right? But then COVID happened and they were like, I can't sell my widget. I'm like, because you need a website, right? So they
yes,
were able to get websites. They didn't have QuickBooks. They didn't have PayPal or any of those things. And COVID made it necessary. So now that you have those things in place, guess what? You can go get your tribe, right? So you could go to
yeah,
South Africa. Someone out there may want your service or your widget. You can go
yep,
to South America or any of those other places, because the exciting thing about these opportunities is that every day someone is looking for something, right? And so
totally.
I encourage the listeners today to really take down some notes, because the one thing that Amos is encouraging you to do is go find your tribe, and your
Yes.
tribe can help you grow into this $1 million business that you're seeking. And so that's really interesting, Amos. So you're saying that success didn't look like what you felt it was going to look like. That is really interesting. That's a
No.
first on this show. Okay,
It
that's
also didn't feel the way that I thought it would feel.
really
It didn't look the way that I thought. It didn't feel the way that I thought it would. It was a little empty when you think about it, because
really.
you're on this journey, and you are fighting, and you are striving, and you are trying to find that center, in order to be this business that you thought so well about, right?
Mm,
You planned,
mm-hmm.
and then when it happens, it's almost like, okay, what's next?
Wow.
How do I make this better? And you never ever really sit in the
Mm,
moment and say, this is how far I've come,
mm-hmm.
this is where I'm going to go, let me plan, let me structure for it. It's always like, okay, what's next?
Wow.
I wasn't ever able to sit in it until I started I would say my third or fourth company. My fourth company was when it actually felt like, okay, this makes sense.
And was that backers?
No, it was Forbes 8.
Really? First of all,
Yeah,
tell us a little bit about Forbes 8, because that was an exciting venture you did as well. Tell us a little bit about Forbes 8, and I know that you included. First of all, it was international. It wasn't just
it
something you were
was.
doing here. And I
Yeah,
know you were working with small business, and you had
yeah,
a lot of insight because, of course, you've had serial business. And
yeah.
so, talk to me about Forbes 8, and then how do we take that experience and help the listeners today to get to the next level?
Yeah, the vision for Forbes 8 was, a combination. One, to equip and resource entrepreneurs regardless of where they were, and regardless of what stage of business they were in. If it was early stage, late stage, growth stage,
Mm-hmm.
um, we all need information to help propel us to that next season of life.
That's right.
And that's what Forbes 8 was. Forbes and I partner 50-50. My company handled all of the technology, all of the partnerships, and we co-created TV shows, that
Mm,
focused on telling the stories of those entrepreneurs wherever they were. If it was philanthropic ventures, if it was business ventures, for entertainment, it didn't matter. We wanted to tell those stories for those who didn't have a voice. And we did that for a solid 2 years, invested, hundreds of thousands of dollars in startup companies all around the world, from Haiti to South Africa to Ghana,
Wow.
Nigeria, here in the States. And the vision of that was, this 105-year-old legacy brand had never partnered with any company in the history of its existence.
Wow.
Yet alone not having any Black partners. So I was
Wow.
their first Black partner and their first partner in 105 years. And I can say it was a learning experience. It was an experience that I think was necessary in order for me to get to the next phase in my professional career. I learned a lot. I brought in amazing partners. I partnered with JP Morgan Chase, Advancing Black Pathways, where we not only worked really, really closely with Tashonda Duckett and Sekou Kaland and that entire team to get the message out around access to capital for Black and brown entrepreneurs across this country.
This is huge.
Yeah, it was an amazing opportunity.
It was in that venture that you sat and you were like, okay, I did this.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I did this. I did this.
Yeah.
I give access. I get this
totally.
is what I'm doing.
Yeah. That's my calling. My calling is to create access to opportunity. And I realized that. So, not only that, it was, partnering with 4 of my global telecoms that brought on board 130 million people onto this network. So our focus was making sure that we could support you wherever you were.
Right.
And then I realized that, yes, COVID happened. An opportunity came for the company to be purchased, and it gave me the space that I needed in order to go and do something that I love, which is to invest full time.
Okay. And that's where Backers was born.
That's where Backers comes in.
So you're going to, this is some super exciting stuff. So believe it or not, with your journey, you've been able to take our listeners today from startup, right? From the startup process, how you started up, how this obstacle provided this opportunity, and then this opportunity turned into CyberSyncs, and then CyberSyncs was able to create this amazing technology. And then from that, you were able to take that into the next venture, right? And then and then that second venture, you came upon Forbes, right? This Forbes 8 business, where you were actually able to take that experience, that knowledge, the barriers, the best practices, the big ideas, pull them all into one, right? And then create some amazing opportunities across the world, not just here in the United States, right? And then when the opportunity became available for that now to be sold, you just went on to doing something even better, and that is now backing small business.
Totally.
So talk to us.
Yeah, I think it is a habit for many entrepreneurs to use the word vernacular, like this is my baby and this is this.
Right.
And I fell into that trap as well. The business, the way that I see it, a business isn't your baby. The business is a business, and you have a responsibility to that business. You don't own that business. You're only a steward of that business. And when that business gets to maturity, it's time for you to let go.
Wow, that's new.
And
That's new.
Problems only arise, the majority of problems with entrepreneurs will come into play when that business becomes a personality or a badge of who they are. Of who you are.
We're going to talk a little bit more about that. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back. And we're going to talk about how when that business become a badge, it can actually be a barrier for you. It can actually stop your growth. So let's talk a little bit more about that. We'll be right back. Thank you so much, Amos.
You're welcome.
This is the Bloomberg Real Estate Report. I'm Denise Pellegrini. Americans spent hundreds of billions of dollars on remodeling last year, and apparently some of those projects are sparking more joy, according to a new Joy score.
Hardwood floor refinish and putting in new hardwood flooring both have a perfect 10.
Jessica Lautz, Vice President of Demographics and Behavioral Insight at the National Association of Realtors, says a new home office, a closet renovation, and insulation upgrades also scored perfect or close to perfect 10s in the survey the association did with the National Association of the Remodeling Industry, along with those paint jobs.
That has an extremely high Joy score. It has a perfect 10, but even tackling one room has a 10 as well. And then something that we looked at this year was looking at just painting your siding, and that can refresh your space as you pull into your driveway. And we found that also an exterior project had nearly a 10 at 9.8. So that was something that people were happy about.
And that's the Bloomberg Real Estate Report. I'm Denise Pellegrini.
You know you are a hot one. We are lime, we are laugh, we are chat, we no chill, we are hot one. Temperature rise, beer vibes in ya, this a hot one. Link up, connect, bust a sweat when you're dead on the hot one. We gonna spice it up like fire. I used to watch BET, MTV, VH1, now I watch Tempo. Soca, Calypso, Reggae Dancehall. Don't stall, better get tuned in to the tempo. Don't have cable, they got an app. Go to your app store, download that. Whether it's tourism, cuisine, or the social scenes, if it ain't tempo, it's a rap. Who got the Caribbean views? Tempo. It's the latest in Caribbean news. Tempo. You tryna cook Caribbean food? Tempo. You know they got the music videos too. Tempo. Who got the Caribbean views? Tempo. It's the latest in Caribbean news. Tempo. You tryna cook Caribbean food? Tempo. You know they got the music videos too. Tempo.
Hi, welcome back. Welcome back to the Coaxum Report. We are on the Marketplace, our TV, powered by Callaloo Network, and you can find us live on Roku. You can find us live on Fire or Apple TV. We're having some great conversation here with Amos Wimbush the third, AM3, AW3. So Amos has really shared a lot of great nuggets with us. He started with his company CyberSyncs, talked about startups, finding your tribe, doing business globally, accessing capital, in different places. And then you started talking about, what was the name of your app again? Was it Woes? What was the name of the running app? The app you can find your tennis part. You can find your
Whoa,
tribe. Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay.
woes, yeah, woes.
Whoa. She's talking about the app.
W
Whoa.
W O E Z.
WOEZ. And so on that app that he created, and it's interesting. So he was looking to when he created Cybersync, he was doing his music. When he created Woes, he was running, and so he was looking for other people in the tribe around where he was that was running. And then in creating this environment, he was also able, if you wanted to play, you want to be on a soccer team, you could find a soccer team. If you wanted to play tennis, you could find some other tennis players. And so I found that to be really a good tool when I ran the marathon, because they had all of these different groups that was doing exactly what I was doing. And so I wasn't on an island. And so that was a good opportunity. And then he went on to talk more about Forbes 8. So Forbes 8, where he was the first Black partner, in 105 years? Wow, that's huge.
Yeah, the first
Forbes
partner.
Yeah, that's huge. That's really,
Yeah.
really huge. And so he made the way for others to be able to have access. And, he talked about his definitive purpose being just that, right? Giving folks access. And in that role, he was able to partner internationally, small businesses with Forbes and others, to really take their business to the next level. So that you talk about best practices, that's a huge best practice. And now we're talking about his other, first of all, we talked about the badge of honor. Some small business owners, when you start your business, it becomes your quote unquote baby. And Amos told us to take a step back from that. And he said, it's not your baby. It's, what is it, Amos?
It's not your baby. You have a responsibility to it, but
Yeah,
it's not your
it's your
child.
responsibility. Yeah, it's your responsibility. And so he
Yeah.
said some businesses are wearing it like a badge of honor. This is my business, but it's your responsibility. And it's your responsibility to move on to that next, whatever it is. And I think you're a prime example of that, Amos, because you went from CyberSyncs to Woes to Forbes 8, and now you're investing. You're investing in businesses. And so you've given us an example to follow. So talk to us a little bit more about Backers.
Yeah, I think with Backers, my focus was to have it be global, but very, very hyper local at the exact same time. I think when you look at
Global and hyperlocal.
community is more than just the people that you do life with. It's those who are around you. It's those who have or within the same affinity group as you. And having the opportunity to connect with those individuals to support your business outside of just doing transactional things with them allows your business to be transformational. So seeking an opportunity to create transformational relationships where you can turn those transactional relationships, which is your business swapping goods and services to a customer, to now that customer becoming an investor in your business. Allows for local economic growth. It allows for stronger ties to the community. It allows for the opportunity for those small business owners who wouldn't have access to capital to now have access to capital.
Well, that's huge. That's huge. So we're talking from transactional to transformational. And I think that's a huge best practice, right? So we're talking about not just having someone buy your goods, your services, and your widget, but also have a passion and compassion enough to now invest back into your business and become a part of your business with that investment. I think that you and my former boss, Dr. Winslow Sargent, have that in mind, because he also is one of those that invest in business, whether it's angels or other ways. But Backers is doing that. So Backers is investing in business, and this is around your area. What do you mean by that? Talk to me a little bit more about how that works. I think you're frozen. Can you hear me?
Yeah, so we'll be sharing more when we roll.
Okay, so I think we just lost Amos. Hopefully he'll pick back up in a few minutes. So he was talking to us about backers and his definitive purpose in life and being able to invest back into business. Sorry about that. You got dropped.
Yeah, it dropped off. So yeah, we'll be sharing a little bit more when we roll the product out into the marketplace. But what we do in a nutshell is we connect. We act as a facilitating partner, connecting community residents with community businesses. And our secret sauce is, when you think about creating those connections, there never is a tack on with financial institutions. Oftentimes you have those small businesses who go into a bank and are never able to get a bank. But if you can create an infrastructure that says we have activated 1,000 of our customers to be, investors in our community to raise 25,000 or 50,000 or $100,000, backers as a company can then take that information and all of that data that we have, hand deliver it to financial institutions, where now those financial institutions don't have to change their risk assessment profile on you, but they'll have data points to say this
That's right.
is a viable business with a return to their investors. So they'll know that they'll get their money back.
Wow, that's huge.
That's the shift.
Yeah. And that's a huge
Yeah.
shift, because we talk about that a lot when we're talking about business and traditional banks. Traditional banks are asking or don't want to take that risk, right? So that's where, during COVID, that's where the idle loan came in at and the PPP came in at, because someone was actually, SBA was taking the risk. The government was taking the risk. But what you're saying now is there is no risk. We're giving you data and information to show you that the business, which is likely your customer in the first place, is a good investment for you. That's interesting. That's really
100%.
yeah, that's really interesting. And that's powerful because that data is needed. I mean, we're looking at when I'm having conversations with my business, I'm getting a lot of, especially now it's tax time. And so, I encourage my business to make sure you have an accountant or a CPA and make sure you have a lawyer, so those are things that you need in your business. Make sure that if your business is in the green, you're showing in the green, because if you show in the red and you're in the green, you're not going to be able to get those investors to invest in your business. But you're saying we're going to have a place for that data to be captured so that investors can invest in those businesses. Oh, that's awesome.
Absolutely. Those investors can invest in those businesses. And more importantly, what we do within backers is we create what we call a backer score. It's kind of like a credit score, but not a credit score. It's our algorithm that can determine, based upon how often you're communicating with your investors, if you are, if you've repaid back your investors, and once an entrepreneur has lived within our platform for 2 years, it's time for them to grow and move on. And that's when we hand them off to, accredited financial institutions.
Awesome. So this is really, I mean, Amos, it's funny how time flies when we're having fun, right? But this is a lot of great information that we've been able to share on the show today. And I know you're gonna have to run soon, but just wanted to kind of do a quick recap and then have you leave a couple of nuggets for the listeners. So we started talking to Amos about his entrepreneur endeavors that have been really, really successful. I remember reading an article, Amos, that when you were 28 years old, you were a $28 million man. And so my listeners are looking for ways to kind of gain that kind of access, right? So, and Amos gave it to you. Like his definitive purpose is to be able to invest back. And in this show is through knowledge. So he talked about CyberSync, right? And how, the startups, he gave some nuggets on how to be a successful startup, how to create your own tribe, how to utilize your tribe to grow. Then he also talked about global business, doing business globally, and those relationships will help you throughout whatever other venture that you have in mind. And then he talked about the app that he created when he was running and how that also gave him access to this tribe, that it became very successful over time. And then Forbes 8, like we talked about Forbes 8 and giving access to businesses across the world, being able to partner them with other businesses and having that data. And now we're talking about the business that he's doing now, and that's Backers. And so investing, capturing the data that's needed for the businesses to be able to excel and grow. And so, Amos, we've talked about barriers, we've talked about some best practices, and we've talked about some great some big ideas, and a big idea is in Backers and how you're able to capture that data and utilize it for your businesses to grow. So we're getting ready to wind down, but want you to share any final nuggets with our audience. And they can listen to the Coaxum Report again. They can even watch it live on Roku. They can watch it live on Apple and also on Android. So any nuggets that you want to leave with the listening audience, please share.
Yeah, I'll say this: be kind to yourself.
You already said in a sense, enjoy the journey. So be kind to yourself, enjoy the journey. Okay.
Be kind to yourself. Yeah, be kind to yourself. If it doesn't feel right, it's not right. If it comes easy, don't take it. Anything worth having is worth struggling for and worth working for. So make sure that every decision is in full agreement with both your heart first and your mind.
Wow.
And you can't go wrong from there.
Wow. That's great information.
Yeah.
First of all, knowing and understanding that you have everything inside of you to do whatever you need to do, listening to your heart, listening to your mind, knowing that if it doesn't feel right, then it's usually not right. So don't do it, right? And then one of the things you shared earlier, you're going through these ventures, but you're enjoying the journey. Like you truly enjoyed the journey and all of these things. And you did things that you were passionate about. And it happened to be things that helped everybody else around you because you found your tribe, right? I think the one thing that I'm really going to take away from this full conversation is find my tribe. I got to go find my tribe. Because there's opportunities out there that we can do collectively to make this world an even better place. And you're a testimony of how strong those ties can be and how it can take you to that next level. So I thank you so much for being a part of this show. And, hopefully you'll come back and join us when you roll out Backers so that our listening audience can get that information as well. So thanks, Amos, for joining the Coaxum Report and looking forward to seeing you doing even better and bigger things because we understand your definitive purpose in life is now to invest. Thank you, Amos.
Thanks,
good luck to all of you and your family, especially your beautiful wife.
Thank you so much. I will.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
This is the Bloomberg Real Estate Report. I'm Denise Pellegrini. All right, you go to sell your house, and next thing you know, the sales website your house is listed on, like Zillow, Redfin, or Realtor.com. Well, it's getting sued by the home's designer, who argues he didn't give his permission for that. But Kate Johnson, General Counsel for the National Association of Realtors, has a different opinion.
To be vulnerable to this Eighth Circuit decision that says that you are potentially liable for copyright infringement for creating a floor plan would put at risk anyone trying to get a loan, anyone trying to remodel, anyone trying to sell their house.
Floor plans, of course, are used by Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, by town tax assessors, and, of course, by anyone remodeling. And NAR is asking the Supreme Court to rule against the architect. And Johnson says otherwise. Get ready to get your architect's permission before you share that holiday photo.
You mean you didn't get the permission of your architect to take that family photo?
And that's the Bloomberg Real Estate.